I want to first thank all of you guys for being here with me and taking your time to be part of this. As you can see this time around, we improved the overlay. We have from left to right, legend, legal, and cheesy. And if you may introduce yourself in just that order, just whatever you want to say.
Yeah, I have a complaint to register. Like, why me and Legal are sitting on a sofa and Cheesy has like a throne for
I'm
himself.
a special guest.
He's the only
Yeah.
returning guest from the first one, so he has a special place.
Damn it.
Special people.
Yeah.
Rigged.
Is that what you wanted to say as your introduction?
That's my introduction.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me here. I think
welcome.
it's a great opportunity for you, for everyone, to have these talk shows. It's a great idea, and it's good to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Legal, you want to go next?
Same as Legend. Thank you for having me, and don't expect too much because I will not have too great of inputs here.
We talked about it, and I'll specifically rephrase questions for you later on, just so everybody knows Legal is not the most veteran player out of the 3 guests today, but I really wanted to get somebody that's somewhat new to the game to have like different point of views on the topics that we will be discussing today. So still, I'm very glad you're here, and thank you for helping us out. And with that being said, Cheesy, you go again. If you even need an introduction, I guess.
Cheese, Lunar, here again. I like how Legend's ego made a slight appearance there. He's like, thanks for having me. It's a great opportunity for you and everybody else.
It's a great opportunity for having me.
It's a great opportunity for you to have me.
Oh, yeah.
Very true, very true. Okay, let's just get started with the first topic I want to talk about. I actually have a list of some, and this time I specifically didn't send them to you previously. Like, Luna's the only one, or Cheesy, sorry, who's returning, and you didn't ask me about a list. That was kind of interesting, but for the first one, I previously to the show sent out some questions that people were able to prepare to. Today I specifically didn't want to do this to get your straight up honest opinion on the spot. I
thought about asking for a list, but I was like, we can just wing it.
I have 2 short ones, then we will discuss 2 more problematic topics, and then in the very end we will discuss about something very important, I guess, which will just eat all of the remaining time that we have for the show today. But getting started with the short ones, the topic for today is raids and endgame content, and in terms of raids, I just wanted to talk about the latest one, right? Ragnahim. He's been out for, correct me, 2 weeks by now, and yeah, I just wanted to get your input on how you feel about the raid, how you enjoy playing it, and if there's anything else that you just want to talk about, when it comes to this specific raid. We can just go in reverse order, so Cheesy, take it away.
I don't know. I don't mind it. I think he's kind of annoying for counter characters because he moves so weird, and he has some moves that are just like stupid. Like that one where he just like dashes backwards and it hits you and he goes all the way across the map. I'm like, dude, what kind of move is that? Like, who came up with that move?
True.
And then his charge, I feel like that move where he like charges and grabs you. I think it's interesting that like he like gains power every time he does it, but I feel like the way it comes out is like inconsistent. Like sometimes I feel like he grabs you earlier than he should. You try to block and it's just like, no.
Like, I usually don't see it coming, like the attack, like the initiation of it. Maybe that's just me, though. Maybe I didn't play him enough.
But yeah, I like it overall. I do like that it's not like Caesar and Nile where you have to run through a bunch of pointless trash at first.
Thank God.
Oh, it's so nice. That's probably one of my favorite things about it.
Okay, cool. Legend, you want to go second this time?
Sure. Well, Yeah, it's been 2 weeks since Ragnahim's been around, and all I gotta say is it kind of suits the idea behind the boss itself being a puppet. So you think it swings left, right, but he actually attacks right or something like that. So he's pretty chaotic, pretty confusing. A pretty interesting concept, that's for sure. I wouldn't say that the boss is too hard. I would say Nile was more challenging,
Okay.
I would say. Aside from that, what I hate the most about Ragnahim is that it seems like his drop rates are extremely bad. I don't know, maybe it's just me.
We had
but
some
honestly,
tinfoil head theories about that last stream, but yeah.
Yeah, it seems like I've been doing him at least 10 times a day for 2 weeks, right? So that's 100 plus runs already. And seeing the pillars of light is pretty rare. I mean, I get it, right? I get it. It's a pillar of light. It's orange. It should be valuable. But
But
the last stream that I visited, your stream that I visited, Tilly, and we talked about it. You talked with me about it. That oh, hey, I get an orange piece, but it's a chest armor. So yeah, I almost said a swear word here, but the resolve is strong in this one. I got this. I got this.
Now, we had like a tinfoil head theory of where I was saying something along the lines of the overall drop rate of all Season 4 raids combined will stay the same. So when there was only Caesar, his drop rates were like higher, and now that there's multiple raids, like the overall drop rate is just spread across 3 different raids, thus making every individual raid like only 1/3 as rewarding as like Caesar was when he released. As I said, that's just a big tinfoil, and I don't think we need to address it right now, because I would much rather hear from Legal on your opinion. And first, I gotta ask you, did you unlock Ragnahim yet?
Actually, not quite, no.
Okay.
But everything I have to say is from what I've seen from videos or your stream, where I do like the idea of a puppeteered boss and such, but the parts of him which would probably annoy me is the lack of wind up on some of his attacks, where he just moves really randomly.
Yeah.
But otherwise, he looks like a really cool boss.
Inhumane is, I think, the best way to describe it, and which is, I think, for the thematic of the boss, just spot on, honestly. Like,
yeah, like the whole theme of like that map and stuff, I really like that. Like the whole like circus tent, like the ragged circus tent, and he's like a ragged puppet. Like that's.
I mean, even last phase actually it does look like a puppet show, because he actually, he tells you what to do, how to move.
The problem is, I myself kind of hate the fight because of what you guys also said. It's kind of sometimes hard to see what he's doing, but at the same time, it's just thematically so correct that I can not at all be mad about it, because they actually just did a great job on it, in my opinion. So yeah.
No, I'm perfectly fine with the boss.
Okay.
Cool. I can't wait to try it out in a couple of months.
How close are you? You're only missing tech, if I remember right.
Yeah. I'm trying to buy capture scraps, but there's barely any on market, so I'm just collecting them up.
Yeah, drop rates are a thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, good luck on that, obviously, and would like to hear from you once you have done it.
I will inform.
With that being said, let's keep riding the topic of raids real fast, and let me hear about what's your favorite raid right now. And to define raid as of right now, anything from Claire or higher. Like, I don't really want to talk about 95s anymore, because I think they are at this point kind of outdated and not really part of the end game. But yeah, let's start with Claire and what do you think is your most favorite, and maybe why? And let's just again play the reverse card, Legal. You take it away first, please.
Oh,
the one that you were able to play, I guess. Yeah.
I could do up to Nile, but I do have different I do prefer Caesar and Aldohan when it comes to visual design. They're easily my favorite. maybe I have a thing for the knight look and
Yeah.
such. But when it comes to just complete design in combat and what seems most fair but difficult, I'd probably have to go with Lou, Brilliant Lou.
Okay.
Because I think he has really just... He reminds me a lot about Pontiff from Dark Souls, if that makes any sense, if anybody's tried it. He has a... you can see every attack coming, so when you get hit, it doesn't feel like a BS. It doesn't feel bad. It just makes you feel like either you're lacking a attack speed or you just a slow reaction.
Yeah.
I don't feel scammed like I do on Elcalus.
Like he has telegraphed attacks, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So I never... The only part that I feel is a bit not my thing is the red attack that can just multi-hit you and you just insta-die.
True.
That's the only issue I've got. But otherwise, yeah, he's probably my favorite.
He's also like nice to look at, I think, with all of the effects and stuff. Like pleasing to the eye, I guess. Okay.
I could do that.
Legend, what do you think?
The favorite bosses, right?
Yeah, like if you are able to name one specific one which is your favorite, that would be cool. Otherwise, you can go with like multiple ones.
I have, I would say 3 out of them for different particular reasons. Yeah, since I play Orisha and I play Lether, I would say for Lether specifically, I find Brilliant Lou the most enjoyable. Which on Orisha is a complete opposite. I can't stand. I freaking can't stand.
It got better since the last update, right? But
yeah, it got better, but still, it's still
you.
kind of annoying with all these random dashes and stuff. It's really just annoying.
It was just unplayable before, true.
Yeah, as for Orisha, I would say Margit. I like Margit because he just seems to me as a huge sandbag, which just spams the flame breath, which is really easy to to counter just by flanking him. So it's not that big of a deal. So that's all he does, pretty much.
Yeah.
And Agaris, obviously, because he's quite easy too, especially when you're familiar with the roar, with the sonic wave. But out of them all, with if we would talk about the atmosphere and the badassery of the whole battle, I would say Aiden for sure. This battle is very well made, and honestly, I would say it would be an awesome season ender for sure. Not just how they made it, just a prologue, which is like whatever.
Yeah, I think like to me, he is just part of season 3 still. He's still dropping season 3 tier and stuff, but he officially is like season 4 prologue, right? So
I put him in season 3 as well.
Yeah, for me, I just imagine him to be like, okay, I can see that. Yeah, I gotta agree with like Agaris and Margit. Margit, like, I can't quite put up there as high as you, because I somehow always get stuck on like his hands when he's doing the flame breath, and then just
gonna say that, like, when you get stuck in between his head and his hands when he does the red fire, and then he just lights you up.
It happens. Yeah, it happens sometimes.
If it wasn't for this hitbox just dragging you in, being unable to move, like, the boss would be up there for me as well. But yeah, I gotta agree with Agaris, I guess, for the same reason why Illegal went with Lou. Like, I think his attacks are just way too telegraphed to not enjoy playing like a semi-counter class. But as for you, Cheesy, take it away. What do you think?
I would say one of my favorite bosses is, like, aesthetically wise, is Claire. Like, I really like Claire. Yeah. Like, she looks really cool. She's got the cool Inquisitor set, and then you're fighting her on like this flaming battlefield. You got arrows coming down. Like, it's pretty epic. So I'd say like aesthetically, that's probably one of my favorites. And then I'd say playing wise, at least, especially since I've been playing my Lether more, I really like Aiden and Niall because of like how their attack patterns are. Like, they have a lot of ones that like look similar. So it's like fun, like countering those strings, and it feels like really satisfying when you like fully counter their whole strings. Like, it's just, that's such a satisfying feeling.
If I would just add a little bit to Niall, actually, one of the biggest strengths, I think, is that Niall's BGM is one of the best ones, honestly, for me, in my opinion.
Yeah,
It's super epic.
BGM, like for anybody, the background music. Like, I actually did disable music a long time ago in the game.
Too.
But
Because I usually have it on in
You
the
guys should
background.
listen to it. It's really cool.
no, I did.
I usually look
because,
them up on YouTube.
Yeah, a bunch of people kept telling me I need to listen to it, so I did. That was pretty cool. I can see
Ace's BGM is pretty sick.
that.
AC?
No.
Sorry, which one?
Yeah, it is, dude. His BGM is actually pretty high.
No.
Who are we talking about now? Sorry.
AC. The purple
Price of
alien
Failure.
dude. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I guess everybody got a shot at their favorite raids. So with that being said, I want to get your guys' input on how long you've actually spent playing the, what I like to call, endgame in Vindictus. And I'm not just talking about the current endgame. Like, I'm just right now kind of asking about your history, basically. Like, how long have you been playing the game for? How much time out of this time did you actively spend trying to improve your gear at the max level and stuff like that? And I would first like to hear from Legal, because you're rather new still, right? If I remember. Yeah. So whatever you want to say.
Okay, I've been playing for soon to be, or already might be 2 months now, and I went through a transition where I tried a decent amount of characters.
This is your first time playing it though, right? You're not a returner, you're actually new.
No, this is my first time, yeah.
Okay.
And then I tried a bunch of characters to find out what floats my boat, and I ended up with, what was it, Delia, I think? And I made it to the quote-unquote endgame, which is like Lu. When I made it to Lu to Adohan, and barely made it into season 4, it was really rough because the attacks are so slow. Personally, I felt they were so slow. I kept getting hit and killed in between attacks, and it was mostly because of my inexperience, I think. But it also just felt really slow to play with Delia. But I tried to make it through Nile and Caesar, but when I got there, there were times where I didn't reach the 7% mark, and then I decided to try out other characters at that point. And I decided to finally stick with Belle, because it was I like the larger types of weapons. She had what's it called? The deforestation. The fact that it can be used in between any attack at any time to cancel out when you see an attack coming. I really like that, and I've been trying to gear up for, I think, about 20 days now, almost a month now, and I've gotten a decent amount of gear. Now it's just the weapon.
Yeah.
So overall, I think I'm progressing somewhat, but it really does feel bad when you go maybe a week, 2 weeks without a single drop, and then also to add insult to injury, maybe fail an enhancement. It just feels awful.
That would have been my next question actually on top of that. Like, since you're still rather new to the game, how do you enjoy what is like the daily routine? Or like maybe even the weekly routine if you include redeemers like that, but things that you have to do in the game to progress, or things you're doing on a daily. How do you enjoy the game when it's only about the, I want to call it like almost bigger picture, because I'm not interested in like how you enjoy the combat right now, right?
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, it's amazing. But just the slightly bigger picture, how do you like how the game is set up to be played?
Honestly, the way it's set up to do the raids daily and royals and what's I like the bigger, like 8-man, like the redeemers and royals, how it's 8 to 12-man raids. I do like that, but the raids in general, the Astera, the season 4 raids, most of them I've done them so many times. It's not a challenge anymore. It's just a chore.
Yep.
It literally just feels like something you have to do because it's on your back of the mind where you're like, if I don't do this, I might not progress. So it just genuinely feels like a chore at times. But at times, when you do finally get that drop, it does feel pretty good. I can't lie about that. But most of the time, no, you will end, or I personally end, not feeling like shit, but just being disappointed.
Okay. I would actually leave it here because there's other topics I want to talk about later on that are really close to what you just said. So,
All right.
if that's fine with you, I would go on to Legend for now. Same, just give me like your brief history, or give everybody else your history, I guess.
The history of like starting the game, or
Yeah, just
sorry,
like how much time of you playing the game you actually spent playing its end game. Doesn't matter if it's like current in game, doesn't matter if it's like season 1, season 2, like how much did you spend in like the latest content that the game has to offer at a certain time, and if you were even able to compare them afterwards.
Well, I started playing 4 years ago, just a little bit, 4.5, I would say.
Mhm.
It was 2016. Back in the day, it felt really hard to even level up, even to get to endgame content, because it was pre-rise, and you actually had to do like side quests and stuff.
Yep.
So it took like a lot of time to get to the level cap. Once I got to the level cap, my experience was pretty bad because I used to play with VPN on. I didn't know that you could actually just turn it off. And my PC was way worse. And we had 8 people raids, so it took even more, FPS and connection issues into the play. But back in the day, the prices were different. So if you would get a weapon essence, you would be set. They could sell easily for 300-400 million each. So it was like it was a super epic drop. So, and throughout the raiding back in the day, I happened to drop a couple of them and make my first couple of hundreds of millions, and it helped my progression a lot, obviously.
Okay.
Because the other stuff was cheaper to craft, to make. Plus, I was really lucky with the enhancement. I actually got to plus 14 on the level 90 spell sword.
Pre-reforged,
Now,
for everybody who's just wondering why plus 14 is so good.
Yeah, and compared to nowadays modern endgame,
Uh-huh.
I spent quite some time. I do farm pretty much every day, even though like last 2 days I haven't been. I do specials, I do rars, I do. I honestly do level 105s, and I don't even remember when was the last time I've raided level 100s, to be honest.
Okay.
For some particular reason, with all the extra departures and stuff, doing special plus rar plus 105s is already enough. And since I'm managing 2 characters, that adds up, right? So I don't really have much more time to spend to do even hundreds and stuff. So I would say gearing right now, I can't really say it because I've been fairly maxed for a while.
Yep.
I think it's way harder now, to be honest, than it was before.
Okay, that's interesting. I would also just leave it here because there's other topics that might be close to what you said. So, Cheesy.
I was at Endgame back in season 2 because I like played on and off for like a long time, and like season 2 was the first time where I really got to like Endgame, and that was pretty fun, but it was also kind of a pain because it felt like a lot more people were kind of like dicks back then, because it was like you had like the attack limit required boats, and like you have to have this much attack or you're getting kicked off the boat. Like you're not allowed to go. So unless you had people that you actually played with a lot, like you had to have gear, like unless you had like people that you knew, so they were willing to put in the work to actually grind out the bosses. I will say that the boss fights were a lot more fun, because they had like a lot more mechanics. Like you had Lycoria and Kraken, and then like Crom back then when he was like challenging, and he was like new and not like rehashed like special Crom now. So it was like you don't feel like you're wasting your time in the last phase.
True.
And then I ended up quitting for a while, and I came back like I think it was just before Grimden came out, so probably like almost 2 years ago. I want to say.
Mhm.
And
Something like that,
then-
yeah.
Yeah.
And I took a couple months, like getting like figuring out how to play again and getting my Astera and stuff. And then I've been like pretty much at Endgame since then. And now I pretty much just do kind of like what Legend does. Like I just do my 105s, and then I'll do like sometimes I'll do special, sometimes I'll do raw and throw them in there. But I'm like doing 105s with extra departures on 3 characters, so it's like by the time I'm done with all those, I'm like so burnt out that I'm like I just want to go do something else.
Mhm.
True.
So it's just like, and then yeah, the bosses just once you do them, like after the first day, bosses come out because it's like so easy to get extra departures now. It's like you run them, you can run them like
Yeah.
10, you can run them like 10 times in like the first day, and then you're kind of like, okay, I pretty much get what this boss is about.
Yeah. Okay.
So I feel like they could use some more interesting mechanics for the bosses.
So, since you are apparently the, I don't want to say most veteran player, but you've seen more of the game than anybody else here, right? I would start with you on the next topic, which is basically the question of what piece of content do you enjoy the most, or did you enjoy the most? Like, if there's something right now that's the most fun to you to ever exist in the game, which one is it? And if it's not something that is existing right now in the game, what was existing in the game that you enjoyed more than anything else?
I would just say like the bigger raids, like the 8-man raids, like Redeemers right now are probably the most fun thing for me.
Okay.
So like it was the same thing with like the old raids when you had like the 8-man raids. Like it's just, it feels like a more epic battle, and like with Redeemers there's like more things going on. Like it doesn't feel like after you do them a bunch, yeah, but like the first time you go into Redeemers, it's like, oh, this is some serious stuff. And still now it's like it's still punishing if you mess up in Redeemers, where it's like in regular raids you kind of can just chug pots and you don't have to think about anything. So I'd say definitely Redeemers. And then I started doing Hells too, so like Hell modes are pretty fun. Like it's just challenging.
Yeah. So, like the direction the game basically is going right now is not the most enjoyable for you, since right now it's mostly about, I feel like
it's mostly just gear checks.
Casualizing. Like I usually see the game being casualized right now in a way where the boss mechanics right now seem way easier than they used to be. Like when I look back to older raids that existed in season 1 or 2, there's only 4 people, you can spam potions as much as you want, you can revive yourself as much as you want, right? Which was not true basically, pre-Rise, when they got rid of 8-man raids? That's true.
So I'm not sure. I wasn't around for like when Rise came out, so I don't remember. I don't know what the exact changes were when Rise like dropped. I just like I quit and then I came back and I was like, oh, there's reforging and this and that. So it was like I came back and Rise was already a thing and I didn't even know.
But basically what I said, right? The removal of what people like to call the hardcore part of the game, kind of. Okay. Yeah, Legend. What about you? What piece of content?
The stuff that is not present anymore that I enjoyed the most, that would be infinite runs of Ship Graveyard and Bench Enter Entrance.
Okay.
Mostly because the drop rates were quite good for Bench Enter. Ship Graveyard was worse, but still, you would run it and there would be a variety of items that you could drop and make some really nice solid bang from that. Plus, it was overall a fun experience because you could run that with friends all day long, right? And it's just just having a good time and having a good drops. Like, what else you need, right? Really miss these, honestly. And the piece of content that is most enjoyable for me nowadays is definitely Hell mode. It's challenging. It's 8 people, and you like most of these people who do Hell modes because they do it all the time. So For some particular reason, like all the hell modes that I've done, and I've done it with a lot of different people.
Mhm.
It's not like it's the same ones, but the pool of people is quite different. But they're all like very friendly and helpful whenever if you're having struggles with anything. So we don't really have issues or.
Mhm.
Nobody blames anyone. I mean, I've been blamed once by Sonic, but just because he's a pleb. But yeah, that's it.
So basically, tying into what Cheesy said earlier, with the slightly more difficult and challenging content being interesting to you.
Yes.
And then the first argument was about, like, let's categorize it as like dungeons, right? Something where it's
I miss dungeons, man.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure you do too.
yeah.
It's just doing raids on a daily basis is cool and all that, but sometimes you just want to do something different, right? So you just
chill and run some dungeons.
Like, my problem,
just chill and just run it with your friends.
My biggest problem in the game right now is that there's very, very few alternatives on what you can do, because most things basically come down to being a raid. Like, you go in, you fight one big boss, and then you go out with having earned nothing, because drop raids are a thing. Yeah. But okay, again, that's gonna be another topic I want to talk about later. Right now, I'd be very interested to hear from Legal what you think. Since you only started playing, like what you said, 2 or 3 months ago, you can't really talk about something that's not really in the game anymore, because nothing has really been removed in the last 2 or 3 months. But your opinion on what right now you enjoy the most would be really interesting to hear.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask as well. Did they give a reason to why they removed the 8-man raids?
Performance issues, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, that makes sense then.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of what I enjoyed the most, honestly, it's probably Redeemers, but more accurately Valor.
Mm-hmm.
Because raids are, honestly, they're just really easy because, Goddess Grace, health potions, they're really just streamlined, and you've done them so many times. And I haven't done much of Valor at all. And when I still do get clapped there, like, I'm not gonna lie.
Yep.
But it is enjoyable because it's a lot more punishing. It feels very good if it's like maybe 7 people died and you're one of the last remaining. If you actually make it, it's probably the best feeling compared to any other raid or whatever drop those raids can give as well.
Yep.
So yeah, if I had to pick something, it'd be those. And then dungeons, the leveling dungeons are not that great. It's just you going around one-shotting children, pretty much. Yeah, it's. I heard it was harder before. I don't know, but yeah. So if I had to pick, it's definitely Valor.
Being a slightly more challenging content, right? What do you guys think? Like, let me just throw in like an idea right now. What if regular raids, like your everyday's raid, were as challenging like as Redeemers, for example, where there's a pressure of not making it, a pressure of failing, where I don't know how it's caused. Maybe we go back to you can only use 15 potions, so people can't really lowball requirements by just spamming potions all day every day, or reviving themselves with Goddess Grace. Or maybe if everybody is dead at the same time, you just fail, like Last Phase of Crom.
Like Niflheim?
Basically like Niflheim, yeah, but who's doing Niflheim nowadays? Yeah. but yeah, it's a good example though. What if like your everyday's raids would be kind of like that, where you have the additional pressure of you might fail, but maybe for a slight increase in drop chance, something like this. What if just like the idea right now, just give me like a yay or nay. We don't need to go into much detail. Just
sounds like that's how you revamp hero mode.
That's what.
'Cause I don't see why we still have hero mode if they're not going to do anything with it.
That's
Except
basically how I wanted
the
to
boss
end the
more
arguments. But yeah, thank you. Yeah, I guess. Okay. Yeah, Legal, for you. You said that's what you enjoy the most. Will it be cool to have more of it?
Yeah, definitely. But also, the drops can't stay the same if they're gonna make it a lot more time consuming.
Obvious. Yeah. And for you, Legend. Yay or nay?
I'm all for challenge. I strive for a challenge, but you said not to go too much into details, right?
Mhm.
Because I think, given that the majority of players, I'll be brutal honest here, the
Mhm.
majority of players are casuals in this game. I'm afraid it would lead to, to the previous experiences of elitism, of requirement boats, and a lot of drama. That's how I feel about it.
I think
But-
that's why it should be in like hero mode. So it's
Yeah.
like you can opt into doing that instead of like it being like, okay, this is the default way it's going to be. So then you have like your casual mode, and then you have your mode for people who want to like actually really try hard.
Yeah, but then again, the people who are tired of casual stuff, they will try to get into the hardcore stuff and struggle there as well. It's not like some people. I mean, people still do join with minimum counterforce, the regular raids, and then they're like complaining and struggling why I don't do 7% damage. Kind
I
of.
guess that's
I don't
true.
know. It doesn't
think
make
that's more of
sense
a
to
problem
me.
with like counterforce in general. That's such an annoying stat, to be honest.
It is, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I was actually gonna mention that myself, what Cheesy said basically, where I think there should be, like, if we have more challenging daily raids, there should be other content to default back to if it's a bit too hard for you or a bit too time consuming or whatever you want to say. Like, he basically made it so there's regular and hero raids. I may have the idea of just raids being just that difficult, and you have other content, like for example bring back dungeons, bring back some other type of content, or just come up with some other type of content, which is like the go-to content as raids are nowadays. Because as most of you said, right now, what are you doing on a daily? It's the raids. Like, you try to max out the most efficient or maybe most fun, whatever it is to you, raids, to then hope for some rare drops, which usually they don't happen, let's be honest. Or, yeah, as Week said, just AFK and Kullian for the check-in event, right? That's like 50% of Vindy population nowadays. But yeah, I think that would be a good trade-off, like get a bit more difficult content, because even though I enjoy the combat of Vindictus a lot, as you guys said, once you do them like 20 times, it doesn't feel challenging anymore. It doesn't feel as satisfying as it once did. But that was kind of my take on the next topic or the next question that I want to ask you guys about. And it's basically, if you yourself could change one thing in the game right now, in terms of end game content, what would that be? I think Cheesy kind of also said his opinion about it, where he thinks hero raids should be a thing. Would you like to go on about it?
Yeah, I'd say my main thing is just like better hero raids. Because right now it just feels like pointless to even have that mode. It's like, why do I want to do this mode? It's
when's the last time you did do an end game hero raid? I'm not talking about grinding season 2 for departures. I'm actually talking about the end game for loot.
I just did Marject once on hero mode because one of the players, Velagatus, like they're like randomly always doing stuff on hero mode, and they're like always like, all right, this battle hero mode fast, and I'm like, okay, you know what, I'll join. And that was not fast, and it was the worst experience of my life, and I was like, I'm never doing this again. I hate hero mode end game.
Yeah.
All that work. But
for what reason do you hate it?
It takes too long for like no real reward.
Yeah, I think that's actually the problem. Yeah, Legend, what about you? Is there one small thing you could point at right now in the game and say this could be improved? easily.
Is that me?
Yeah.
My turn?
Mhm.
Oh. I think, I think Cheesy just beat me to it, honestly. I would certainly 200% agree on the hero modes. You just want to have, the best drops to come from the hero mode, and them to be rewarding, actually. Especially if the content itself gives you a challenge.
Mhm.
So, I don't know. I think it's really just. I would add maybe certain like extra mechanics, like how they did with Hell mode. Just something new, something like maybe another like. Hell, you can even throw some one-shot mechanics into it as well.
Yeah.
Something that make it even more challenging, because raising the damage of the boss and HPs alone, it doesn't really make the raid more fun. It actually makes it even more boring and annoying.
Yeah.
It just takes more time, right? So
The same
if they
reward.
if they would add something else to it, just throw a couple of just new moves, just 2-3 more patterns and 1 KO. It's not that hard to do.
Yeah. I think it's easy to see what we are talking about when we compare hero raids to Hell Redeemers, right? Even though Hell Redeemers, they don't give you any more than the regular Redeemer. Like maybe you get like 900k instead of 200, so you get some more gold, but the reward is the same exact one. But people are still doing Hell Redeemers way more often than hero raids, right? For that exact reason that you mentioned. It's more fun than the regular one. There's new mechanics, there's other things to be aware of. It's just like fun and difficult. Or difficult because fun, like you get the idea, right?
Yeah, adding something to Hell Redeemers would definitely be a major upgrade.
Yeah, like
for sure.
Yeah. That's also something I never really got, how Redeemers that are supposed to be like the end game in the game, right? Like this last strongest boss that you try to take down as often as you can, how they just don't come with good loot, right? But that's just me, I guess.
Oh, you're telling me level 73 stars accessories aren't good loot when you're level 100? What?
Or that 100k gold pouch. Oh my goodness, I needed that. That's my repair bill, hello?
I'll be as crazy to say it, but get it out of my game. I'm sorry. I'm level 105. I don't need no 3-star level 70 rings, especially not if the story is rewarding me with level 95 stuff. I'm just saying. I'm just saying next one, right? But yeah.
That's true. The stats are a good reward for doing Redeemers, like a lot of times.
I get that, nice. but you can't have the completion thing as an excuse for this raid to exist, right? Like, they try to compensate you for doing more Redeemers after getting these stats finished by giving you these Redeemer seals.
Yeah, the seals are kinda,
especially given that you have to spend half a year to actually get all of
True.
them.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, the latest one usually it takes 25 weeks. Which if you divide by 4, which is a month, usually it takes actually 6 months. So for anybody who has never been on top of the latest Redeemer, it actually takes you half a year, while not missing a single one, right? Like, I still haven't gotten the 75% on Brick, because that's a different story. But yeah, I don't know. The Redeemer seals for me, they just don't cut it. Honestly, as
should have mysterious shards for Redeemer seals at least.
Seriously,
something
they
like
need
this.
More sources of those.
Yeah,
most definitely. But yeah, Legal, you wanna finish up the argument? Is there anything? You said it earlier, how the overall gameplay, well, not gameplay, but the overall way the game is played right now is kind of lackluster. Is there anything you can point your finger at and be like, this could be easily improved on?
Honestly, it's mostly the sense of risk versus reward on it. Because, for example, I think last week and half of this week, or like the first 2 days, I did Niflheim up until Nile, every day, and barely got anything to show for it. But it wasn't difficult at all. So it just felt meaningless. It just felt like I spent a couple of hours doing nothing, because I have nothing to show for it at the end, and there's also no risk in doing it. So I don't know how to explain it per se, but Redeemers is like, if you do it and you fail midway, you do waste time, sure, but you waste time because you failed. You didn't waste time because the game punished you for doing the boss.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. But I don't know much about Redeemers because I've done, I think, Valor about 14 times. So, I'm not one to, because I don't even know what changes in hell mode and such. So.
Yeah, it's just like some additional projectiles here and there. Like some of the chain attacks are a bit longer, the walls are different, but like even though it's, in my opinion, yeah, I only completed it once, so feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. Like, they're not major changes, right? You still recognize the patterns. Like, if you played Baylor 100 times on normal, going into hell, you're not like, ooh, what is this, right? Like, you've seen everything before. It's just like some, as I said, some additional things here and there that are like, ooh, this is new, this is cool. But again,
and his one hit KO string is like 30 seconds long. Just a bit longer, you know? Just a little bit extra attacks.
Just casually takes like a minute, and if somebody dies on the last swing, like, your run is just over. Because you wasted like 5 minutes. Yeah. No, but you get what I'm saying, right? It doesn't, we're not asking for no voodoo magic here to like have a completely different experience in like a higher difficulty. Like, going back to the topic which we were talking about earlier, where we said hero raids would be cool. We're not asking for a completely new experience in the hero difficulty, just for like some extra things to happen here and there, right? But yeah. I think that was already kind of one of my last ones. There's one last one that I might want to talk about, and then we can kind of like just talk about whatever we are able to come up with. But it's very close to what we were just talking about, right? Where I was, what could we change? Now I want to talk about what could we maybe add to the game. Is there something you may know from other games that you really enjoyed and you would like to see? Is there something where you always wondered, why is this not a thing to begin with in this game? And yeah. On this one, whoever wants to go first, whoever has like something on their mind, like, feel free to do so right now.
I could say a minor thing that I've thought about since I started. It's raids not being raids, honestly. It's just one boss. It's always confused me. I haven't played many MMOs. I've played a couple and I've seen, and well, I always expected it to be, you know, kind of a miniature dungeon, a bunch of like prelude bosses, and then a main boss at the end. And each boss may be giving different chances of different types of drops, and the end maybe just being the best. But here it's always just been go in, one boss right in front of you, kill it, you're out. That's it.
Funny enough,
that's always been weird.
That's actually how the Bench-Channer dungeons used to work that Legend mentioned earlier, where the Bench-Channer entrance was featuring like a total of 3 bosses, right? You played through Bench-Channer during the story, most likely, right? And all of the bosses that you encountered, they were part of a single dungeon that you were able to run from start to finish, from the very first spawn, from the second spawn, to the very end, with like a bunch of minor enemies on the way that you were able to get like minor drops from, like the synthesized material, leather, and cloths. And then all of the bosses were actually able to drop the rare drops, which nowadays only drop in raids. But that's actually a thing they purposefully removed, which again, both me and Legend were talking about earlier, is something that we never really understood, because they're just trying to streamline you into doing what they call raids. Because in my opinion, you're onto something. When I started playing the game, I also thought they got it twisted, because dungeons were what I knew to be raids in other games, and raids were just like a boss challenge kind of. Like you go in, and in season 3 even there's not even like trash monsters, right? You actually spawn into the fight with the boss. There's nothing building up. But then again, it also feels weird in Caesar and Nile how they tried to go back to this raid feeling where you have some like a mini boss and like smaller enemies, but they just feel like a waste of time, honestly.
Like when we were talking yesterday, like it's like they made the intern make the dungeon.
Yeah.
They're like, all right, just throw some trash mobs in there, call it a day.
I don't know, like I really don't know how to fix it. Maybe if the minor boss on Nile and Caesar was able to drop rares, that would maybe help, I guess, with like your motivation to do or to play through the introduction of the level or the way leading up to the final boss. But yeah, as for Legend and Cheese, is there anything you guys want to add to the point?
I have a few.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Go for it.
So, and we talked with you about it many times actually, Tilly. For all of you who's been familiar with Diablo or WoW, and I think you already know what I'm gonna talk about.
Yeah.
Introduction of keystones. I think this would be by far one of the most amazing ideas to actually implement into Vindy, and I don't really see how it could be, hard or complex for them to do it. Just throw a dungeon with like they already have some templates for it. They had the hero monsters having different affixes to them. One of them could be having stone skill, which reduces damage. Some of them would reflect the damage whenever you would damage them. And raise, like the more you progress through the dungeon. So, like let's say I don't know, like red ship graveyard +8. You clear it, get yourself a ship graveyard +10, and the more you do it, the more loot you get, and the more chances the loot might be valuable as well. So I don't know, throw whatever, like a Malician Essence as a jackpot, or a Mysterious Shard grade 1 as with a low chance, but still like it keeps on raising with the level of the keystone. I think it would be a great idea, would allow people to actually push these and actually maybe assemble parties of tryhards or friends, just enjoy them all together with just it's all the ratio fun to rewards, right? That's all we always look for in MMOs. Fun to be fun, challenging, and rewarding.
For everybody who may not be super aware of what Legend was just talking about, it's basically having the same content basically, but it is scaling. Like it gets increasingly more difficult. So I guess what you didn't mention so far yet, it would also kind of play into the problem where, in my opinion, like gearing up in the game is kind of useless because there's nothing that you're gearing up for, right? So having like added challenge, like even if it's the same content, like just having it being a bit more difficult while the chance for you getting good loot out of it is also increased. And then basically the more geared you are, the more the bigger chance you have of getting something. Or yeah, again, just having this additional challenge that we talked earlier, which everybody kind of wants to have in the game, but not just by having the numbers increase, not just having the enemies being tougher, dealing more damage. They
could just introduce, let's say, like another stat just for this specific content, let's just say. So the more you do it, the more you get, I don't know, tokens, seals, whatever. And with these seals, you can just upgrade your stat that will just increase your damage in the keystones, or like, bolster your health, bolster your defense, whatever, additional damage. So it's just kind of like how it was in Onslaught whenever you upgrade your, your stuff, and how it is with the Tower of Mirage that we're yet to get. Pretty much something similar to that. So the more you do this content, the stronger you get, so the higher keystones you can push.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
And the other thing is like myself, what I would love to see in the game is a council type of redeemer where you have to fight 2 bosses or maybe even 3 at the same time.
So ba-
Ideally, that would be 2 bosses that would divide the party into 2 camps, right?
Mhm.
4 and 4. And let's say you fight one redeemer in like a real world and another one in a dream world or spirit world, whatever. Kind of like what Braha had. And I still think that Braha concept was freaking amazing, and I don't get it why they just don't push that idea with different mechanics, different stuff, with sacrifice, with more sacrificial mechanics, timing, something that brings back the feeling of teamwork that Vindictus used
Yeah.
to be known for.
That's what I was about to say. They've tried to get rid of all of these mechanics that needed the team to be on the same pace, right? Like nowadays, it's all about like you can do it by yourself. You don't need anybody to play along.
Because people back in the day, I'm pretty sure people who played even more, maybe even cheesy, they do remember hooking Levisat's hordes, Iracles, dropping the stuff, the rocks on Iracle and all that. It's something. I know the game. Every MMO starts as a hardcore and then it gets more casual and more and more and more. It's like every MMO does that. But at the same time, you could actually sometimes bring this old school hardcore stuff into play again, so people could just re-experience how it was before.
Yeah, Dark makes a good point. Like the only raid I think right now, like today in the end game, that really requires your team to play together is Maka. He was kind of mentioning how you chain your SP skills, but even beyond the SP hold skill cheese
too.
The swords, yeah. Like that's the only mechanic where you as an individual need to rely on somebody else to survive, right? You can't throw enough swords back by yourself. You need your team to also.
Well, Frosty mentioned that boss mechanics just lead to kicking plebs and stuff. You can, if you introduce something super challenging. And why I said Redeemers specifically, because Redeemers is something that is locked for 4 times a week, right? So it's not like you do that like every day. So you could implement these hardcore mechanics, so people who do Redeemers, they would know that this is a challenging stuff. So you need to know your stuff, and one person can actually fail a run and stuff like that. It would bring. I know it sounds pretty controversial, given that how casual the game is right now. But at the same time, if you would just lock it behind Redeemers, that is only, as I said, 4 times a week, I think it would make sense. Being so challenging and being so old school hardcore. That's in my opinion.
Yeah, I can see the argument of like if it's too hardcore, it's gonna be season 2 all over again, where plebs are being kicked. But
yeah, that's why I didn't mention regular raids, of course.
I think there's like a middle ground we can go, like where it's not just an instant team wipe if one guy doesn't know the mechanic, right? Or maybe even like if we just want to go full pleb mode, we could have quick battle also become like group finder, not group finder. What is it called in World of Warcraft? Like you queue
it's
up
group finder. Or, it's like group finder.
And you don't know who's in
it's
your
like
party.
Easy mode.
Yeah, kind of like Royal Army raid. Like imagine you were not able to pre-enter Royal Army raids. Like you queue up and you don't know who you're queued with, right? So that could kind of fix this problem of plebs being kicked, right? But I don't know. In my opinion, for everything, there's a workaround. No matter how difficult, no matter how problematic something in the game might be, if the developer really wants to make it work, there will be a workaround, there will be a way to make it possible, right? Just like getting a bit more challenge on raids is possible if they so desire to make it work. But yeah. I think everybody had his shot at the final topic, right?
Oh wait, I would just say that they
Oh no,
should.
geez, yeah, sorry.
Damn, that's messed up. You just forgot about me, huh?
Sorry, yeah. Go for it.
I would just say like more like Legend was talking about, like more teamwork content. Like they've been like, I feel like special battles were like a step in the right direction.
True.
Like where you bring back
The
like
old ones,
like Glass, like with the ballista trying to do the break off, or like Kolru, where it's like split in the beginning and you have to have like all the people to do it. So it's like it feels like more of everyone working together towards beating the boss, instead of like just I'm just gonna do all the damage and not think about anything. Like,
yeah,
you know
but
what I mean?
These new special raids that you just mentioned, they're just basically a reflection of the past, of what used to be Vindictus Endgame, right? All of these raids, they didn't come up with something new. It's literally just a copy paste from what used to exist in the game, just scaled up to level 100, right? To fit the current stats.
Yeah.
And when I first saw those raids, I was kind of disappointed with, why don't we get cool stuff like this nowadays? Why do we have to copy? Like, I was happy to have them because I never saw them when they were Endgame, but why do we have to copy old things to then be cooler than what we usually get as a new content right now?
Stuff. Yeah, that's why I was saying, like, they were a step in the right direction. Now let's keep going and use that for the new content too.
And on top of that, I'm also really mad with them how they just stopped doing these special raids, right? Like, they revamped 4 of them, right? Avant, Glass, Kolru, and Chrome. There's more raids to be revamped, or to be just copy-pasted onto level 100 stats, right? Like, that's something I didn't...
Yeah, Iracle, Leontis would be fun.
Inkles.
Yeah, Inkels, he'd be fun.
Stuff like that.
Like they have like a bunch of stuff to work with specials. Like, can we please get some more specials and some more raw battles too? Like, I'm so sick. I'm so sick of Giant, Thor, and who's the last one? Lavasat?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Thor's, or not Thor, Giant's probably my least favorite one, because when you do Giant and then you go in and then he goes to do a stomp and then he lags and then all of a sudden you got stomped and now you don't have crit.
It's just,
and it's like, okay, well, I can't do damage.
Yeah. I literally want to rage quit whenever that happens. You drop down to 1 FPS, like you see him initiating it, and you know, okay, there's no way I'm gonna dodge it with 1 FPS because it's raw lag. Yeah. Like, cool, thank you. When they introduced these raw changes, like, what is it, a bit over a year ago, I was happy to have new ones. But then I realized they would also remove the old ones, and then I was like, so I'm left with 3, right? So I
don't see why we couldn't have like a different one, at least for each day of the week, dude. Like, come on, we got 7 days. We can at least have 7 different bosses for the week.
True. I mean, here's something that probably Legal doesn't even know about. He doesn't know the old special raids, right? Which is something that basically Legend tried to implement into the Redeemers, where we had something like this. We had like a council type of boss where...
yeah, but it was such a YOLO. It's
okay. Let me first explain how it worked for everybody that doesn't know, and then let me tell how people actually played it, right? So, old special raids basically were you were fighting 2 bosses at the same time, which again is something that Legend kind of... You also said you would fight them separately from one another, but basically you would fight them together in the same arena, and they were both on top of you trying to kill you. Like, when I first saw it, I was like so hyped to do it, because for me it kind of reminded me of my old Monster Hunter days, where I was fighting like 2 very difficult bosses in like a really small arena, and like any second could be my last one because they could just combo me down.
That's well for me.
But then it just turned out that just somebody used their transformation and just like ignores everything they're doing and just DPSs them down. So yeah,
stack them up in trance.
Yeah, like when I first started doing these double monster specials, I would try to separate them, because, you know, when there's like fights like this, you rarely like from other MMOs, you rarely bunch them up in, right? You wanna drag them away because they buff each other, or it's just very annoying for everybody to deal with two bosses at the same time. And I was getting yelled at. People were threatening to kick me if I didn't group them up. I was like, what the? Yeah, like I can see how the idea kind of flopped, but
Let me tell you, that one special that featured Bloodlord and that assassin rat
Oh,
was
yeah.
the most cancerous thing ever.
They're
created.
both
Whoever-
teleporting all over the place.
Whoever created that, they had a brain damage. I'm sorry.
it's true. Like, but I'll be honest, sometimes for me at least it was kind of enjoyable to do it because it was something else. It was something so chaotic that even though
It's
you
true.
hated every single second of it, it was still somewhat enjoyable. I don't know.
It's true. Just how Onslaught was, pretty much.
No, we don't talk
Yeah,
about
Onslaught
Onslaught.
too.
wait,
I don't know. I feel like Onslaught, like in concept, it wasn't that bad of an idea.
Yeah, it's true.
Like
Okay.
having like a boss rush type mode where you're just trying to kill the bosses as fast as possible. That's
Mhm.
pretty fun.
Yeah, Legal also doesn't know about that, right? Have you heard about Onslaught, Legal?
No. I've just been
Mhm.
listening, and from what I hear, it sounds really like really cool, but a lot more stressful than it is now. And I
Yeah.
wish I was here to see it, but I'm just listening in at this point because I have no input of something.
The statues kind of ruined it. That was where all the flames started coming from when you're
True.
misusing
It's alright,
statues
Nico.
and
You're a
stuff.
lucky person.
Yeah, Onslaught was kind of sucked because it was something you felt like you had to do.
It was a very
It-
toxic environment.
It didn't
as well.
feel like you had to do it. You had to do it. Like
Yeah.
the difference between people that abuse, like I'm sorry to use the word, people that abused it on like multiple characters,
Yeah,
compared to
and I
people-
did that.
compared to people that were not doing it at all, was so crazy. Like, how much did you get per season? Like easily like 1 billion gold.
With
A
2
lot.
characters, 1 billion a month.
Yeah.
Easy.
You like
Oh my
just-
god, when Era came out and I was doing it on Era and Miri, oh my god, I was capped. I was constantly capped on both of them, and I just did not even want to play the game, but I did it anyway. But I was like, man, why am I doing this myself? It's torture, so much Onslaught.
The good old days when you wouldn't do a single raid for weeks.
Yep, exactly.
Because
True.
you just tried to get rid of all the tickets, but they
They kept coming back.
this MFer keeps on
every 4
freaking
hours, you
stacking.
already know. Lucy never did Onslaught. There's few people that, even though it was as rewarding, like as we just said, you could easily make 1 billion per month off of just this one activity. People just couldn't bother or couldn't be bothered because the environment was kind of toxic, and at times the gameplay was kind of anti-fun. Like,
Was it
Regina and
boring?
Glass just ruining your run because they fly up in the air like 10 times.
no. That's like another altar for kind of moment. Like,
Alcade or
you missed 1 point.
Zacalion, oh my
You were
god,
like,
dude.
Okay, I'm out, dude. This is gonna be a slaughterhouse.
Zacalion would be the worst. He'd like spawn and do his shockwave and you just drop and you're like,
Dude,
oh,
Alcade
okay.
just
Wait.
randomly jumping. Oh my
Oh
god.
my god, yeah.
Just to get everybody up to the same level again, I want to explain Onslaught real fast for those who may not be aware of. Onslaught used to be a PvE, PvP type of content where you as the player, you were fighting monsters, but at the same time there was another team also fighting monsters, and whoever, like, basically whoever killed more won in the end. There's also like another winning, how do you say,
Condition.
condition, thank you, where if you just had enough points, like if you were too far ahead of the enemy, you would instantly win. You didn't have to wait for the time to run out. But because something like this would kind of be unbalanced by just having a boss rush, because it would just come down to RNG, right? Who has the stronger team, who has more bokais and stuff like that. They tried to pull a twist on it, where it's not just simply a boss rush. There's also a mechanic we like to call the statues. And we like to call them statues because they were statues. Like, if you played the special Crumb raid, right? He sometimes creates 4 statues on the corners of the circle. Okay, but
Corners of the circle.
they basically
Around the arena.
they basically try to debuff you, right? They basically try to give you a hard time. They drain your stamina, they lift you up into the air, so you're unable to do anything. The only thing you are able to do is like eating the hits of the enemies and stuff like that, right? So that's Onslaught. You trying to kill stuff fast, but if you kill it too fast, the enemy spams you with debuffs and you lose. It was such a good idea, but they never really got it fixed, right? There were a few iterations of it. One with Rage, one without Rage, one where you got AD from using the blessings, right? But I think after the 3rd iteration that they didn't like, they were just like, scrap it.
Put it in the trash.
We tried. Which I think is so sad, because I'll be honest with you, if you just removed the PvP component from this, I think it's such a great idea. Just make it a PvE boss rush, honestly. Why not? Group up for it the same way, like sign me up, and then you get 2 random people assigned, and then you just... I mean, okay, people like playing with their friends. Maybe there's like random and maybe there's like pre-made groups, but the idea of this PvE rush was so fun to me. And if it's not on a clock versus another team, I don't think you have to risk as much, because for me sometimes you had to pay attention to the progress bar, like are you ahead, are you not ahead, are you on 1 HP, which means being hit once means you're dead, right? You can kind of, or you would be able to just take your time a bit more, not try to rush as much damage for the sake of like out DPSing somebody else, but for the sake of just trying to get 1 more enemy killed within the time. It's basically Abyssal Arena, yeah, but Abyssal Arena is just not good. Like, I'm sorry. Like,
Extra trash.
Yeah.
Garbage.
I just wanted to ask, what was the reward if you won versus if you lost?
So basically, the only thing that you got, were seals. If you won, you obviously got more seals than if you were to lose. Makes perfect sense, I guess. And these seals you were able to use in a specific exchange shop that's obviously not around anymore. And the best seal to value ratio was a steel, a Damascus steel, basically.
Tradable,
It was tradable too.
And it was tradable, so that's how people made like billions on it.
That was when steals were what, like 3-4 mil a
2.5,
pop?
3
too?
million. Yeah.
4 or 5 on an A, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you were able to buy other stuff like mysterious shards, but it was more valuable to spend your seals on steel, sell the steel, and then buy the mysterious shards. And you would make profit still. Like, the TLDR for what the reward is steel, because the exchange ratio for everything else was just bad. And like, that's also something they, in my opinion, could have addressed maybe. Or just turn the steel into like non-tradable.
I thought one of the regions they like limited the amount of steel you could get from it, like in one of the iterations. I think I remember hearing that. We never got that iteration, but I think it was like China or something.
That's interesting. The new game mode they got is mad. Yeah, there's new game modes. I don't think we should talk about them today because I'm not 100% sure about the new game modes.
I'm a Regina main.
Succubus all the way.
I don't know. Like, I'm kind of sad to see that there's more direct PvP coming to the game, where I think like most of the you know, player base is here for the PvE content.
True. Well, that mode will at least be easier to balance than regular PvP.
True. Yeah. I guess if there's anything else you guys want to talk about.
I just want to state, I don't think this is Nexon's fault per se. Yeah, it's not. But when it comes to the rewards right now in Astera in Season 4, when you do get a drop, be it Succession Shard or Scrolls rarely drop, you still can progress even with the drops, because the price has dropped drastically so far, and steel is unmoving in its price, right? So it's really incredibly difficult to progress in terms of armor and weapon, which is why I'm still using Dullahan, for example, but have all my accessories upgraded, and I just don't know how one would progress if you were to start now and try to get to Season 4 maybe. If you do get that goldy shiny drop and it's a smooth succession shard for 1 million, that's one steal, and it just feels awful.
Yep.
Well, at least it's not, an armor essence. Cool 200k.
And it freaking sucks. It freaking sucks, and it's annoying. It's an orange drop. It's a rare drop. It's supposed to be freaking valuable.
It drops once every 50 runs.
Yeah. Hell, if it would be valuable, I wouldn't mind getting one even once in 50 runs. I don't care. But when you get like
you see
3
that
orange drops back to back, but all of them are like feet asses or hand asses.
I mean, you need 2 of both, right? You have two hands to feet. No, but how do we address that, right? How do we make Miletian armor essences more valuable? Like, why would people want to spend more gold on them? Because
just add multiple essences for reforging. Easy.
Yeah.
Just take, I don't know, 5 Miletian essences, hand essences to reforge your gloves. Or succession shards.
You could make those like more common drops, like have more tiers instead of just orange and not orange. Like, you know what I mean?
Wouldn't you then complain about getting a non-orange essence though? Like,
I don't know, because if like when you see that orange beamer light, you're like, oh man, this is gonna be something good, and then it's just like, it's not. Like, that's supposed to be like, okay, this is my time to cash out, and most of the time it's like one of those worthless ones. Just make those like a separate tier. So it's like it'll be like when you get those, it'll be like, oh, okay, it won't feel as bad as seeing that light and then being like even more disappointed. Where it's like now it's like you do a run and you don't get a drop, you're just like, okay, well, I just didn't get a drop. It's like I didn't really expect to get a drop most of the time. Like, that's how it feels. And like if you just get like, you make a little lower tier for those, so it's like, okay, I got like, I didn't get the best drop, but I got something, and just have them like, they'd be more common as a drop, and then like Legend said, just have them cost more for reforging, like need multiple essences for reforging. That way it's like you increase the need for them, but you're increasing the supply too, so they don't get like too far out of proportion expensive, but like they'll still have some value because you'll be able to get multiple to sell easier. And then when you do get that orange pillar of light, it's like, okay, this is gonna be a money drop.
I think what killed the price of the essences and the shards themselves as well is the fact that they all drop with the minimum rolls. And so, because before, even on NA, even though NA never been, into like all this min-maxing stuff, people would obviously sell even high rolls for, for cheaper, at least at the end of the season 3 times, when the rolls were still something, right, in the game. But now you get everything at min rolls, so it kind of eliminates, the extra pricing on the item itself. So if they would reintroduce the rolls, maybe it would kind of help increase the price on the essences or even succession shards. But right now, I think it's doomed. It's just going to continuously drop down, and as Legal said, right now I don't know how people do progress with, especially given that even if you're a hardcore farmer, you do everything. You do Niflheim, you do Rars, you do all the season 3, season 4s, everything.
Not
the
pretty.
game throws at you, and you're not getting anything.
I mean, Niflheim is more worth it than like 105s most of the time, like consistent money wise.
Unless you're lucky, it's all
unless you're super lucky. But I'm saying like overall, like average, you're probably gonna end up making more out of Niflheim than out of 105
Probably.
rates, which is kind of dumb.
Like,
Mhm.
I did progress a new character as a new player during my Lether series, right, as you might know, where I didn't use like any outsource resources. I kind of tried to emulate a new player's experience. It was not as good as 2 years ago, like when I started. Like if it would have been like this 2 years ago when I started, I don't know if I would have kept playing. I'll be dead serious with you. I don't know if I would have pulled through. If it, like right now, it's so much RNG. Even like they keep trying to cater you in with, oh, now you get plus 13 Dulan armor. Yeah. But if you wouldn't, like, you wouldn't be able to play the game in the first place. Like there's such a weird power creep slash just misexecution in terms of like upgrading your gears and your player.
That's
Well-
how it was good for me back in the day, because I had an option. I could
Yeah.
either farm ship graveyard as much as I want, or bench enter entrance, which I actually did. Like
Same.
honestly, every single day I would spend 7-8 hours just grinding bench enter entrance with friends, and I would make so much money and so much gear. So I geared very fast.
Same.
Also, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't also one of the reason why Militian essences are so cheap because of the steel cost of upgrading them?
Yeah.
Because it's insane. I think it was for a plus 12 to plus 13 fail, it's about almost 30 something steel.
Indirectly, yeah. Like one of the other problems why Militian is not as expensive as it should be is because even though it's the latest tier of equipment that we have, it's not the most valuable one. It's not the most gold efficient one. Where right now,
Yeah,
like we had this cycle for like 2 level caps by now, where the second to last tier is usually the best to go. Right now, getting in the stereo weapon is the best way of spending your money, because the stats are still enough while it's just way cheaper, like way cheaper than Militian. I only can think of the plus 14 reforge costs right now, but it's 45 for Astera while it's 68 question mark
Yeah.
for Militian. That's like 20 steel difference, right? That's almost what not 0.5, but for every like 3 Astera reforges you do, you can only do like 2 Militians, right? Something like this.
We
So
have
yeah,
calculated-
obviously.
We have calculated with my guildmates
Mhm.
that fully min-maxed Dullahan can actually cap Nile on everything.
Mhm.
And fully min-maxed Astera can still cap Seath, which is the next boss after
That-
Ragnahim.
okay, I
that
want to
with
kind
the
of slow you down on
accessories?
that, because while that is very true, yeah, you can cap Nile with Dullahan. By the time you get that gear min-maxed, there's already like 4 more raids out, right? Like, yeah. But,
No,
but
I know. It's just it's just how ridiculous and stupid
yeah,
the
it plays into what
gear
I
progression
said,
and stuff is made.
where I said you don't need the latest one, and I'm really sad about that, because usually in any other MMO that I played, when there was patch day, when there was new items, everybody wanted to get the new item because obviously it's better than what we have right now. When there's patch day in Windy, I just hope to get the new thing to make the most
To
money
sell
out of it.
Uh,
just to sell it to some pleb whale that has like 5 billions for some reason. But
Also,
sorry, yeah.
also, there's been a lot of events that's been feeding Astera essences and just just supporting the idea of making Astera armor and Astera essences.
Yeah, like the
also-
biggest supporter is the steel event. You get 250 steels, which is literally 250
that
mil.
can only be used on Astera, and
Yeah.
then we have this raid event now where you get a free restoration and a free Astera weapon essence.
Yeah, and max stat Astera armor essences and such.
I think
know,
those are... Sorry, yeah, go.
Sorry, Tilly. Go ahead.
I said go first, go.
Okay, thank you. So I think that we can eliminate pretty much most of these issues if every tier of gear would become, irrelevant with the introduction of a new tier. And we talked about it a lot with you, offline, online, on your streams and my streams, that whenever a new tier comes, when Militia would come, they would just drastically nerf Astera. Would that be additional damage or whatever? I would lean towards additional damage, because additional damage is the main
100%, yes.
thing. It's the most
Yeah, that's one
important
reason
thing.
to just like not even upgrade, because it's like, why make a new set
Yeah.
and go through that enhancing track
just
again when I already have plus 15?
Exactly. So whenever a new tier would come out, you would be forced to upgrade, and it's healthy. It's a healthy route that every MMO takes, right?
Yep.
But here you can just, you can still sport Dullahan and be, I'm cool, and be in the raid with the guy who's full Militia and be like, yo, dude, like,
Yeah.
yeah, you're full Militia, but I do more damage than you. I'm sorry.
That's something that I said to Cheesy, I think, yesterday, where my 2-week-old pleb Lether is able to do the same content as my 2-year-old min-maxed Arisha, and just get the same stuff. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't see how that's correct. And on top of that, season 4 for me was the first time where we had a season transition in the game, right? Going from 3 to 4. And I played other MMOs. I was ready for like season change. I thought it'd be like some expansion type of World of Warcraft, where everything that I have right now is trash. Give me the new stuff. Give me like way higher AD. Give me maybe like a new way of crafting it, like how season 3 introduced synthesis and compositing. Like, give me new things to work with. But we literally didn't get anything. Like, that was like the most upsetting day in my life. Not in my life, in my Vindictus life. Let's be honest. In my Vindictus life, when I read through these season 4 changes, and there were just none. It was literally just like another, okay, yeah. Like,
Here's a new overpriced set of armor. Have fun.
There you go.
And one boss.
And one boss.
Man, day one was pretty modern, though. I remember I used to DC every like 5 or 10 minutes for the first like 3 hours, and we had a 24-hour stream, so I was like super upset about it. And the first freaking Caesar that we did, I DC'd right at the start, and they started the raid, and I returned back when they killed him, and I dropped a Keen, which was like 40 million. People were like, damn, you legend. You didn't even participate in a Keen succession shard. But that was pretty popular.
Oh, those prices dropped so hard.
I know, right?
Yeah, Keen is at like 1 million now. So sad.
It's ridiculous, man. It sucks.
Yeah. But yeah, going back to something that you said, I think it would be really cool. Like, if there's like a new level, what they could do is just nerf all of the AD from the current gear by like, I don't know how much, like 30% or something. But at
50%.
Like some percentage. But at the same time, I think it would also be a smart idea to nerf the current bosses by the same amount. So it would really kind of
only
blow.
affect the newer content.
Yeah, like if you just get weaker and you can't even do the content you were able to do before, right? Like, they need to make sure that's not the case.
Well, it's kind of like what they're doing with the ALR changes, which they should probably go a step further, where it's like, if your gear doesn't match the boss level, then your ALR is not as effective. But like the ALR thing only affects like a small percentage of players. Where if they did that with like, they could do that with AD. Like, if your gear doesn't match the boss level, then your AD isn't so much effective, and then that would be more of a reason to actually upgrade.
People would quit it. Okay, so what I thought about is when a new tier, like actually tier, not just Ragnahim, as in there's another season 4 boss, but when there is a level cap increase, I want to feel like a complete newbie, even though I'm min-maxed right now, right? I want to kind of have the experience of, okay, this is the new level. I'm now starting kind of over again, right? There's this one boss which is just absolutely gonna kick my ass, where I need like good groups, right? You could kind of, I guess it would be for elitists first for like a few weeks until they gear up enough to carry other players through or something like this. But it would kind of create the thing that we were talking about, having this constant kind of challenge we are seeking, right? Which is basically what World of Warcraft is doing, right? Whenever there's a new raid, like people spend like weeks until they clear it on the highest difficulty to get the newest gear and stuff like that.
Well, that would be a reason to add like more dungeons back too, because then it's like you have the main boss of the new levels that you're trying to beat, and then you have dungeons that you can farm to like start to upgrade your gear, and then you can get like big upgrades from the main boss. So it's like, say you could upgrade like pieces of your armor and stuff from getting like dungeons and stuff, and then the boss is where you get like the weapon stuff or scrolls for the weapons or stuff like that, or the new high rank scrolls.
Exactly. That's why I don't see how 50% nerf would be ridiculous, because you just farm the dungeon, and then when you get stronger, obviously you can just participate in the new content.
The 50% nerf, in my opinion, though, should also just be for the new raid.
For the new. Yeah.
Like
they did with the ALR. Like
exactly.
If your gear doesn't match the boss level, then you don't do as much.
Yeah.
I just wanted
like
to
that's I feel like that concept is a good idea. Just they need to take it a step further.
Yep.
Yeah, Legal, you go.
Yeah, I just want to ask what is it that makes AD so vital? Like, how is it calculated? I've never understood it.
Because it's damage multiplier, more additional, more damage.
So it's just straight up more damage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, then.
And then ALR on top of that is even more. So it like makes your AD more effective because it gives you more attacks.
And your D too.
More.
The more you have of one of them, the stronger the other one becomes. That's why it's so almost impossible to measure the DPS of somebody who's 6k AD, which is basically like the dream, all plus 15, right? And max ALR, because only having one of them is not enough. Both of them, like, they push each other even further. Like, even though I am lucky enough to have more than just 6k AD, I'm missing 1000 ALR, or more than 1000 ALR, which basically makes me weaker than somebody who has both of them maxed. Pretty much. It's weird to understand as a new player. I think you need a lot of like experience and see people with different gear perform, I guess, because there's no, at least we don't have a formula to go off of. There 100% is one. Like, obviously the game has to use one to calculate damage.
There are some people that have they have there's like a sheet somewhere that has like at least the estimated like rates of how it all affects each other.
I would say roughly 1000 ALR is like 5% damage boost, pretty much.
Wait. 1k ALR 5%?
Yeah, something like that.
I think even a tiny bit more than 5. I don't know.
Well, you see, the difference is like every boss it calculates differently. I think Floric made like a list.
Yeah, because it's calculating the boss's defense. Obviously.
Yeah. So sometimes it's like full. If I remember correctly, full ALR back in the day, which was 3350, right?
Mm-hmm.
It would vary from Claire to Caesar or whatever, or Aiden. It would vary something like 14 to 19%, something like that.
Like, we can kind of do the maths right now, I guess. I was using both of these summertime appolays at the same time, which basically got me to, like, they boosted my ALR by 1k, right? They basically made it so I was maxed on ALR, because right now I'm actually just missing 1k. And my resonance...
I still need 500 ALR.
My resonance hit for 400k on Nile, right? And now without the ALR, it's only hitting for, what, 380? So I'm missing 20k. That's on a crit, by the way. So it would be 200 and 190. Which is how much? It's more than 5%, right? It's roughly 5% actually.
Yeah, around that.
Tiny bit more.
It's like, it's approximate.
It's true.
Let's just use approximate. Of course, it's not like,
yeah, that's pretty
direct
close,
5%.
Wait, Tilly, I'm going to insane again. Or does it say Tilly? Did I? How do I keep doing typos on my own name? It's so embarrassing, actually. Anyway.
I think it's pretty good. You have two eyes, which is me and Legal on the sofa. I think it's quite symmetrical and nice.
True. Yeah,
Then you have Cheesy. He's a reject. Because all cool kids they sit on the sofa.
You're still just mad that I have my own seat. Look, I'm from NA, okay? I'm social distancing, all right? We gotta social distance around these parts.
Ah.
No, okay. There's one last thing that I want to mention, and it's something that I kind of thought about kind of yesterday when I was playing Genshin, and a day before, and like last year even. The overall theory crafting in the game, which in my opinion is non-existent. There's like this one item that you have to get, right? You never really have a choice. There's like not really set bony you have to keep in mind. There's not really different scrolls that you can opt into. Like very, very, very few scenarios if you can use Dash and Chance Scroll or Calm and Chance Scroll in newest editions. Just yesterday I was thinking about the idea of having different set bony, actually, like having different sets to begin with.
Oh yeah, like they used to have.
Yeah, technically, like when I started playing, it was level 90 time, and every boss had its own armor, basically. And to get the set bonus, you had to have obviously 6 pieces from that boss. However, I'll be honest with you, these set bonies and Vindictus, they're just irrelevant. Like, to be honest, right? So, some strength, some stamina, or whatever you get, just doesn't cut it. So that would be probably like my last question to you guys. Do you feel happy with the way theory crafting and gearing is in Vindictus? Would you like it to be a bit more in-depth? Would you like it to be a bit more, I don't want to say complicated, because that's usually a word people try to stay away from, but let's just use in-depth. Would you like it to be a bit more thought through than what it is right now?
Yeah, I definitely wish there were more options. Like back when like 60 was the cap, you had like a lot of different options for like armor you could use, and like you could go like you'd go like 2-3 builds to get like try to get the most out of the set bonuses and the individual pieces of gear. And then you'd have like different level 60 weapons you could use. So it was like, yeah, it felt like you had more variety than just like, okay, I'm max level, it's Dullahan time, or it's Astera time, and then I'm just riding this out until it's time to change.
Also, I haven't played when that was the cap, so I can't say much about that. But when it came to leveling all my characters, when I hit 90, and you get the random choice of, what is it, Regina, Lou, Abomination, I always thought those looked really cool, and there's clearly a variety in visuals. But then when you reach 95 and you get the Dullahan, you always just feel like shit, because you have to look like ass for the rest of the story. And I've always thought, why didn't they have like one Dullahan, maybe AS armor and so on,
Arcana.
just to have some, yeah, exactly, just some variety. But now you just have that ugly ass Dullahan.
How else would they sell the armor fusion runes? You know, got a big brain though.
True.
Which way they should just introduce a transmog for fusions. Once you obtain an item, so it just saves in the wardrobe, so you can always change it. That would be awesome.
Legend. We gotta sell armor fusion runes.
Yeah. You were saying? Resident Sleeper? That's such an awful idea.
I swear, whenever I hit level 90, it was always Braha set. I don't think I ever got Regina on any of my characters, and that was the only one I actually liked.
I keep on getting Terminus, I swear.
Actually, I got Abomination a couple times, too.
Though Terminus's chest piece looks pretty badass, I like it. Mm-hmm. But the rest is kind of garbage-ish, I don't know. But
female ones.
To add to the thing, yeah, I'm all for variety, to be honest. It would be awesome to try different builds, and actually, and I know you, Tilly, might be interested. Well, not interested, but at least it would be cool to hear. I've seen a couple of Arishas using Paw and Coleman Dash. And I'm really curious to see how it's gonna work out for her, to be honest.
On sword.
Yeah, on sword.
Maybe with the balance changes. I just don't think right now.
Well, maybe, yeah, but it's just maybe
I feel like
it's
all
not
feels
even
redundant.
different at all from the regular build, but it's just people gearing up differently, having a different build. It actually gives you this, it tempts you to test it out yourself, but you can't just spend a fortune on all these scrolls and then be like, oh yeah, it's bad. So yeah, I just spent so much for nothing.
It's just people having enough VVIP potions to keep up with the stamina burn.
I don't know. From what
Let's be
I've like played of Orisha, I feel like I could see how calm and I could see how calm would be kind of nice, and like having statues, so you'll always have enough to have mana on
No,
demand if you need mana
no.
swap.
If you go calm, you don't need a cat statue.
No.
Really?
Yeah. Even with cat statue, Orisha has too much SP.
Sword
Too
Orisha
much
is one of those classes that does not have like infinite stamina dump. Our infinite stamina dump is our rune blade just consuming everything. And by everything I mean up to 750 nowadays. Like if you make rune blade scale with the more SP you consume, the more damage it deals, yes, okay, cool. I can see that. But
that would make sense, I agree.
We literally have
that always seemed dumb.
I think if I remember correct, I'm very sorry, Tilly. I think it was a thing before. I might be wrong though. But at some point they just removed it. Or am I just imagining? But
for the
I
last
swear,
2 years it hasn't been. Like since I started playing, it was not a thing that it scales with how much.
maybe it was
consumes.
before Rise. I don't know. It's
Possible.
like really weird, man. I swear I remember that it used to be like the more SP you dump into a rune blade, the more damage it would do. And this concept, it would make so much sense, right?
Yeah, right now it doesn't make sense. It's like, okay, it uses more SP, but still does the same damage. It's like, why?
True.
Why would you do this?
It's ridiculous.
Our best SP burn on Sword Orisha is Mana Tracer. But then again, I feel like I'm the only one who ever uses Mana Tracer in a close-up situation. But
I use it all the time. Actually, a lot of people asked me, like, do you even use Mana Tracer? Like, what's it good for? It's like, it has so many uses. It's like
I almost
one of the best things ever.
I almost want to use it on cooldown. Sometimes I just hold it in case like he runs away for the obvious get close. But
if you got a Kai in the party, you gotta have that Mana Tracer ready.
Yeah. I don't
we don't mention them.
I mean,
in
first things first, you just don't have a Kai in your party. Okay. No, but I think we are getting slightly off track, but yeah, what do you want to say? Sorry.
Just minor side tangent. It's about the accessories as well. Aren't they making them also less variety now? Because I noticed how the 100 rings and earrings had one for magical attack and one for physical, but then now the 105 accessories seem to only have one.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing
like
though,
that.
to be honest.
Yeah.
Like there's only one yielding both stats now. I think that's way better because there was always this weird situation where physical attack things were just more expensive.
Yeah.
Because there's just
I do like
3
it too,
times as
like
many
when
characters.
the time comes around that like we eventually have to upgrade accessories again. It's like, okay, now I can take these and give them to whatever one of my other characters I want to play instead of be like, oh, this is a strength character, so I have to give this to another strength character.
Yep.
So it's like, okay, I get some reuse value out of them when it's time to upgrade.
Yeah, that's true.
Alright, but we are almost kind of approaching 2 hours, I think. So if there's nothing else you guys need to spread the word of, I would probably call it a day here.
Can we swear now?
Buff
No,
Miri.
not yet.
No, I'm
That word needs to be spread. Buff Miri.
Sorry, no, again. Sorry?
Oh, Buff Miri. That's my word to be spread.
Final word for cheesy.
no,
final
nerf her again.
No,
that
shut
was
up.
Legend's final word and now for legal.
Okay, if Miri gets nerfed, then Orisha's gonna be deleted. So.
Oh, right between the eyes, man.
You only get one final word though. Sorry. But yeah, for legal. Go ahead.
I don't know. I think I got everything I wanted to say. I don't know enough to say anything else. There's nothing else that comes to mind, honestly.
Okay, cool. So
I want to say something. Well, first of all, thank you very much for hosting this. It was pretty chill, pretty fun, pretty constructive.
Yeah.
I honestly had a lot of fun, even though I'm kind of sick still. But it was a time well spent, for sure. And I would like to thank Cheese and Legal, very nice guys. Thank you, Tilly, for having me here.
Thanks for being here.
And you guys make sure you subscribe to his YouTube channel. He has some good stuff there. Tilly does some nice content. Thank you guys.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Same goes to all three of you. Like, thanks for being here. Thanks for spending the evening or noon with me. And yeah, I guess.
Yeah, it was fun.
I guess we're done for now. I'm gonna dip right here, and I'll see you guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.
See ya. Bye.
Yeah.